as stage now, but I was like stuck in this room and they just said that I wanted to be down your name, but it's always a picture.
Okay, are we doing? So what did you all say for number one? So did anybody on number one say it was unhealthy or abusive?
Yeah.
Did you get up to abusive? That probably seems to be abusive. If they're texting you constantly, kind of a constant thing, okay? And not basically starting to accuse you of cheating. It's like, okay, we're getting to. What about number two here? That's unhealthy. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit manipulative, I mean, she can definitely say, I'm going to be sad, but don't apply to colleges that are far away from me. Okay, that kind of moves over into unhealthy. What about number three? That's healthy. Yeah. I miss you when you're not around. I'd like to spend more time with you. What about number four? Unhealthy. Yeah. Those are like starting to isolate. Yeah. When I deal with her, it should just be us. Okay. What about the last one? Abusive. Yeah. Anybody that tells another person what to do with their body. Yeah. Moving over to the abusive area. Okay. So these are some red flags that you could perhaps notice in your child. All right. If they were potentially in an abusive relationship, just something to look for. For example, the victim starts becoming withdrawn, or their grades decline, or their mood changes, or maybe there's physical signs, like you notice they're wearing long clothing on, in the summer, okay, and maybe trying to hide something. And the reason why they're getting withdrawn and stuff is because they're very emotionally invested in what's happening in this relationship and trying to appease the person, trying to keep it even. And that takes up a lot of energy, and that's why these other things can start happening, okay? Couple communication. Notice when your son or daughter has their partner over, how do they communicate with each other? If there's excessive texting going on, I think it's good to say, let's sit down and kind of talk about that. I have some concerns about it. Or if you notice there's tense conversations when they're talking, I mean, every now and then, of course, they might have a fight. But if it seems to be a constant thing, and that's the way that they talk with each other, something to kind of raise a flag. Or if the victim appears afraid or quiet around the partner. If you notice when the partner comes over and your son or daughter gets really subdued, that could definitely be a sign. And then perhaps if your son or daughter was an abuser, it's a horrible thing to think that, but somebody is, so some signs to look for too. If they're having disrespectful conversations with their friends about their boyfriend or girlfriend, like, that's, it doesn't seem like you're treating your partner very respectfully. Why are you saying these things about them to your friends, okay? Or if they demonstrate anger or possessive behavior, you notice that they're always angry at them. And this is a predictor. If there's been trauma or violence in the family, it can be a predictor that that person could potentially be abusive. And I know not very fun stuff to talk about, I'm sorry, but I'm really happy that got people hard. All right, so this is how you can talk if you've noticed that, son or daughter, or if it's a young person, you're noticing, something like that. Keep in mind, this is what the young person is really afraid of. They're afraid that they're going to be blamed. Like, what, how did you get in this situation? They get very nervous, or they're going to be interrogated. What's going on? Tell me everything that's going to happen. So they're like, I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to go there. My parents are going to freak out. That's what they're nervous about, okay? Or being made to feel guilty about being in the relationship. Again, though, keep in mind, it didn't start out abusive. It started out great, and then it started getting that way. Like, put a little, let's see, where did I put it? You might have later on. Okay. Also, they're afraid that they might not be believed. And you're like, oh, come on, you're just having a little spat. All right, so you got to really, really validate them. And they're especially afraid that you might tell others what happened. Super, super important to say to them. This is between you and me, okay? And I'm not going to go out and tell my friends while we're walking, okay? But then to really keep it between you. Okay, so context really matters as far as what works best here. So the scary thing is that physical abuse requires an urgent response. I mean, you need to consider contacting the police or other legal options, perhaps getting a restraining order. and you want to make a safety plan with your child that looks like they're being physically abused. Safety plans can get pretty involved, so this is a website that people can go to if they would need to get information on how to make a safety plan.
Do you have anything to add to that, Allison?
Okay, yeah?
Not
Yeah,
just,
okay. So safety is always number one, alrighty? So if it's in this, it's like, okay, we gotta report this and maybe contact the domestic violence hotline, which I have listed on here too, and just get a safety plan in place. So what works best, this is like if you're kind of noticing some signs and you want to intervene and provide some guidance before it escalates to, where like safety might be a real issue. So the first thing is to take them seriously, to value their experiences and say, I can understand this is a really tough situation for you. Or you feel like you must be going through a hard time, and that I can really understand that. And sometimes when our kids do stuff that kind of scares us, we might have a tendency to kind of like, I'm just going to kind of deny it. I'm going to pretend like I don't see it, okay? I've talked to parents and they're like, I kind of saw some signs, but I was so afraid I kind of just swept it under the rug. You really got to say to yourself, I gotta sit down, take my son or daughter out to dinner or whatever and say, hey, I've kind of noticed this and I'm kind of a little afraid talking to you about it, but I think we need to talk about it. And then you want to express love and concern, not fear or disappointment. So you want to use statements like, you know what, I have noticed this and I'm very worried and I'm very concerned. I love you a lot. You deserve to be in a healthy, easygoing, fun relationship. Or I love you and I want you to be happy. Okay, so you really, things that make let them know that you're expressing love and concern only. This is the only thing you express, okay? Not disappointment, because you need to try to get your son or daughter to be feeling empowered. They're already feeling, you want them to go, okay, I can move forward. Don't interrogate them. One thing, sometimes when we know that a child has been through like a traumatic thing, or you might have observed something, you're like, what happened? Tell me what happened. That's actually causing them to go through it again, okay? And that can be really traumatic. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever asked you to relay again something that was really painful for you and you really didn't want to. You might, instead say, if it helps to talk about details, great. If it doesn't, I believe you. I believe you that you're having a hard time here. And then support and validate. Gotta be careful you don't say, you need to break up with them. Or I hate that person. You need to get away from them now. Okay? Because again, remember, they still really love and care for them. They're just kind of like, they're hoping that the abuser is going to change and then it'll go back to just the good parts. Okay? Okay, then go over what are healthy relationship behaviors that we talked about. Okay, notice in healthy relationships your partner respects you, they listen to you, they trust you, they're not checking in, so you kind of go over some of them. And then explain what dating abuse is. Dating abuse is a pattern of behaviors. It escalates over time. You might not have noticed it at first. They're trying to isolate and control. Okay, that's what dating abuse is about. So you kind of just help them understand the concept of dating abuse. Most young people are not going to identify their own relationships as abusive. Okay, so even if you see signs that are, they're not going to think that it is. So it's very helpful to be really specific about what you saw. Like, I've noticed since you started, dating your girlfriend that you've kind of stopped wearing the clothes that you really like. In fact, you're dressing very differently. Okay, so you give them specific things that how do you feel about that? How do you feel changing what you're wearing, changing who you are? Okay, so tell them what you observed and witnessed, and then ask them, well, how do you feel about what you're experiencing there? Does it feel comfortable to you? Because they're like, I didn't really want to talk about this right now. It's just, okay, I'm worried, so we follow up tomorrow. I just would like to touch base with you on it. I'm here, I want to talk to you about it some more. And then discuss options with them, okay? Would you like to perhaps have me, have them come over and we'll be together? Is there a particular issue that we can talk through together? Okay, so you can know that you were there for them that way. And give them resources. Like, for example, this is a really great resource. Have them go to loveisrespect.org and take this relationship quiz. it helps them understand whether they are in a healthy relationship or not. Because I hate to say this, but remember, 1 in 3 abusive, unhealthy relationships are pretty common. So you can have this go away. Also, give them a support line to call, which I gotta see if I put it on here. It's down the road. You might want to really is have them call the support hotline, and the RAIN organization has that. Because often the young person will be more comfortable talking to somebody that's removed from the situation. You can have them talk to an expert about it so they can kind of guide them through looking at the relationship and such. Now, the other thing too is you can't tell them to break up. Okay, you gotta be careful about that. You kind of encourage them to, but again, usually they don't want to break up because they just want the abuser to change the behavior. And also the abuse might escalate if they try to leave an abuser. That's why it's really helpful for you to have them call up a support line, call with you, and you put a plan together, okay? Telling them like, you need to get away from that person, again, might cause them to just take the relationship underground, okay? Okay, so lots of times when we see our children in pain and stuff, or we're very fearful for them, we want to fix it right away. And the thing that you got to keep in mind when it's in a relationship, and that's, you can't fix it. This is their relationship. You can give them guidance and tools, but you can't like take them away from the person. You say, I encourage you to do this. Give them this hotline. Have them contact the hotline. Ideally, it would be great after you talk with someone, how about if you make a plan together, okay? Because they will be talking with an expert that will kind of, based on their situation, have some suggestions for them. And then say, I am here for you. I know this is very difficult, and I will still be here for you, that we can discuss it and see how things are going. And no, it's going to take some time, because have any of you even been in a healthy relationship and when one person wants to break up? It takes, they just go, hey, I'm done with you, right? I really have loved you, it's been so much fun, but we gotta end it now. Okay, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't wanna hurt that person's feeling. Oh, what if I'm being selfish, or maybe I'll hang in there a little bit longer because I know that they have a big test they're studying for, it's Christmas or whatever. Okay, so if there's an abusive relationship going on, just know it's gonna take some time for them to go, oh, this is actually abusive, this isn't healthy. Okay, I can talk to mom and dad about, okay, I've kind of noticed that now. I still really like them, but we'll have this plan in place. Maybe we're going to slowly start not hanging out with them. And say, let's check in, okay? Because in this field, it can take a while. All right, anything more on abuse? So I was like, oh, it's kind of an intense topic. Sorry, so happy you're here. You're doing good. Okay. All right, so college safety. So one thing I want to tell you about college is that the Department of Education in March of 2014 said that all higher education institutions need to comply with the College SAVE Act, okay, which SAVE Act stands for Campus Sexual Violence Elimination Act, or SAVE. What that means is that colleges have to step up now and start revising their policies or putting new policies in place to address sexual assault, okay, so which is really, really nice. The president has an initiative across the country about this. So when you go to a school and you're looking at schools as far as where you want your son or daughter to go to, they should now, most schools should have this, know what their sexual assault policy is. You should be able to Google, Brown University sexual assault policy, and that should pop up, okay? So you can easily find it. Also in the handbook that they give you, like if you're going on a tour, you should be able to find it very easily. Also, the school should clearly state how they define consent. Ideal if you're using the phrase affirmative consent or enthusiastic consent, which means yes. You cannot assume that a no means yes, or just the absence of a no is consent. Also, they should be able to report assaults anonymously. So they should list on there where they can go to report, and that they do not have to identify themselves if they do not want to. Okay, that's part of their policies. And check out what type of sexual assault prevention education the school is providing for its young people. Are they just doing, like when my kids are going to school, they just log on online and take it? I'm so bummed about that, okay? or ideally it should be mandatory, at least for freshmen to complete sexual assault training. Ideally, it will be on like bystander intervention training. We'll discuss that. Okay, so very helpful to say, what are your education efforts around sexual assault on this college campus? Some things you might hear of, like some resources is Green Dot. If you hear Green Dot is kind of going across the country in a lot of universities and colleges offering bystander intervention training. So training young people how to be a bystander, kind of like when you see somebody force an ice cream down someone's throat, what you can do. Another one is, the RAIN organization, RAINN, they also are getting involved with college campuses to put prevention education in place. So you see on the website and stuff what that college campus is doing. Another thing that I really encourage you all to do is to go out to knowyour9.com. Title IX that you might have heard of, it first came around way back when to say that people cannot discriminate against gender in sports. But now it's been extended to there cannot be sexual discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual assault taking place on college campuses, because anything that interferes with a student's ability to get an education needs to be addressed, or that person can file a Title IX violation. Alrighty, so this is a great website. It very succinctly lays out what Title IX is so that you understand, you can explain to your young person what their Title IX rights are. Also, this is an 89-second YouTube video on Know Your 9 that is put in place by Amy Poehler. She has a Smarts Girl organization you might have heard of. So I really recommend that you check that out as well. Review tips with your teenager on the rape prevention that you got your little handout. Another thing that can be very preventative before they're going off to college is, again, talk about healthy relationships with them, setting and honoring boundaries, and always getting affirmative consent. And let them know, too, that you're always a resource for them to support and guide them should anything happen. All right, so now we're just going quickly through some resources. Allison, do you want to talk about?
I'll just quickly introduce
forensic
myself. Thank you, Robin, for including me. I've got a couple slides here. My name is Allison Cathro. I am one of the school nurses in the district. My former background, experience, and training is in sexual assault. I am part of the International Association of Forensic Nurses. I'm a sexual assault nurse examiner, and I've typically cared for adults and adolescents and assisted with child exams. Should you need to help somebody find resources, a forensic nurse, I would highly recommend that you get them to somebody with the specialty training, because we have the experience to ask the right questions, provide the accurate documentation, perhaps use photo documentation if we observe injuries. We might collect evidence if that's appropriate, and we can help in the post-care and connections with resources advocacy and all the post-care that a victim might agree or need. So some resources are on there. Very briefly, we have a Washington State chapter. I've introduced Robin to our community of nurses recently, and I've partnered now a couple times with Robin, just experiencing her presentations because it's extremely helpful. She's been to my high school at Tiger Mountain. She came in Friday, and it was very interactive and extremely helpful with our students and staff. You can always reach our organization, and I actually am right now a communications liaison, so I will answer to the Washington WA State IAFN at gmail.com if you need any additional support or resources. I brought some handouts today, probably not enough. I'm happy to say that though, and I can get them to you online through the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. There's 100 conversations. These are your talking points. You can pick and choose and help you with these difficult conversations with your team. On the east side, should you need to get somebody to expert care in forensic nursing so they can have a well check and exam, Evergreen Health, both the Redmond and the Kirkland campuses have 24/7 coverage for the most part. Our examiners are on call, so we respond as needed should somebody present, either through the emergency room or with a friend or a scheduled exam.
So just,
Yes.
so, I mean, just helpful to let your young person know, because they might not get you involved. But, if you are ever anywhere and you know of a friend that happens to become a victim of sexual assault or raping and eating and stuff, encourage them that 24-hour care is available. They can go like never ring out and go into the ER room. They can meet with a specialist that works with people that have been through sexual assault. So they know the questions to ask and what procedures to go through. So it's kind of, and I don't know, or if they're over in Seattle, Harvard, that stuff.
And they're throughout the state, so you can always call 911, of course. That's the way to get in, but insist on getting that specialty care. There's a reason for it, and I'm a bit biased perhaps, but I would like you to be cared for. Your child, your friend, I'd like you to have the proper access to care that you deserve. Again, I think you know how to find me. Again, I'm Cathro, C-A-T-H-R-O-A is Allison, is my initial, and I'm WedNet, Issaquah, wednet.edu. Thank you.
All right, so other resources, like if there was something that's going on at school, you can always contact the school nurse here at Skyline, and school counselors would be available to also talk with your student. Holly Caskell, she's actually a clinical psychologist in the area that specializes in working with teens that have experienced sexual assault or adults that have experienced sexual assault, so really an excellent resource. And then here's some websites that are really helpful to know about. Okay, that have information on sexual assault, how to talk with your children, how to do safety planning if that became necessary.
Oh, can I add one more thing?
Yes,
I was just
you can.
thinking our kids are so connected with devices. Circle of Six. It's really hard sometimes for teenagers to identify 6 people that they would trust. But Circle of Six, you can program it in, and it will send out a text message to all of them, some of them. It could be a parent, and it would just give them a blurb saying, like, I'm home, or 911, I need help, or something didn't go right. They've got that at their fingertips, and that was a great resource for college, high school kiddos. Is anyone upset? I didn't have that. But...
Oh, Alton, did you have a question?
I'm sorry. Hello, yes.
Number 6 or 6 Roman?
6 as in a number, and it's like a circle.
So is that an app?
It's an app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is an app, yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that up. Or
No.
about that. So I just want to thank you all for coming tonight, because I know these are intense, tough topics. And I just want you to really know, though, that learning this information, getting vocabulary around it, being able to talk with your teenager about these concepts is like the most protective thing that you can do for them, okay? And then also, we have precautions that they can take. But basically to know for them to really understand boundaries and what boundary violations are, and also to really understand the concept of affirmative consent. So does anybody have any questions? Well, thank you all very much for coming. I call myself an officer. But I don't yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Actually, don't wear that way.
We have that one every time. It's always like, oh, it's really sure, like,
That's right. I'm looking forward to
Whatever you want.